Welcome to Wednesday Night Undressed, the podcast that reaches the wobbly bits other podcasts dare not touch. I'm Jeremy Taylor, the Brit on the radio in your lugholes. Want to welcome the team tonight. Of course, we've got Dr. Orlando.
Hey.
The indefatigable, irrefutable Kathleen Taylor.
I'm stealing your french fries, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Transylvanian Dark Lord of Literature and Pheromones, Ivo Ivanov. Guesting tonight, Mr. Fernando.
Hi,
the man, the Brazilian, that was written about and memorialized by that famous European band from Sweden, ABBA. And of course, the indefatigable, never to be argued with, Mr. Brennan.
Why, hello there.
Well, hello. So, I don't know whether you lot all watched it. I'm a Brit, and I'm sort of forced to, but the latest Super Bowl, halftime performance by Justin somebody or other. Was his name Bieber?
Timberlake.
Wrong, Justin, yeah.
Okay, well, Justin whatever. What's his name? Underwhelming? Or was it me? Who would you prefer? What would you like to see? Who should perform the Super Bowl halftime show? Preferably someone who's alive, because Elvis would have been great. Let's start with Fernando, since you're a musical person. You may not have known that, but you are.
No, I mean...
who would you like it to be?
I don't know, like lately, since the episode with like Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake, they kind of like, I don't know if it's weird picks, perhaps I didn't pay attention in the past so much about the crowd, or they bring someone, those musicians like above like 80 years old, like, you know, who play a few years ago.
Rolling Stones have played.
And do some duo. There was the Robert Plant too, with some guy.
I remember Robert Plant.
I don't think Zeppelin's played. But who played? And Daltrey was just awful.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing.
Exactly. But it'd be nice to be, you know, The Who like 30 years ago, or... there is so many good bands. Like, it doesn't need... I don't know. They make too hype.
Have the Foo Fighters done it?
Yeah, they could.
But have they? They haven't.
I don't think so. I can see Dave Grohl making some noise there. That would be more fun. But I mean, who knows?
I've seen the Foo Fighters and the two guitarists from Zeppelin play, and that team would be something.
Two guitarists from Zeppelin?
Foo Fighters and Zeppelin.
Actually, he even had a project with John Paul Jones.
Yeah, John Paul Jones and the other guy, what's his name?
The guy from the... Yeah.
I've forgotten his name.
But anyway, that would be more fun. But yeah, I get it. Some people like some pop, but as long as they keep changing... overall, he did his thing. I mean, it's Justin. Like, he's a talent guy. I don't know the Prince.
Kathleen,
I'd rather see Prince play alive.
If you were in a position where you could have whatever you wanted musician there to entertain.
Why do you say musician? Why does it have to be a musician? Why can't Stormy Daniels perform?
Oh yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Why can't Cirque du Soleil perform? Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Because you also have to figure the realities of it has to be a stage in the middle that's predominantly designed for
construct elaborate things. They can do a Cirque du Soleil.
They would have to construct it in 5 minutes.
They can
Lady Gaga managed it last year, didn't she?
Yeah, true.
How about Red Hot Chili Pipers?
Oh, those guys gotta
Not
be
peppers.
tired.
Not peppers. Red Hot Chili Pipers.
Oh.
They are a bagpipe and...
No.
I like it.
One of the most famous bagpipe groups which plays rock in the world. They are pretty cool, and they'd be loud enough. How about, instead of music, a fight to the death of all the football mascots?
I like that, like a UFC with mascots. I like the idea.
Yeah, okay.
We'll have
You don't have to have music.
the mascots.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
The mascots do something. Dr. Orlando.
Actually, I like JT. I like Justin Timberlake's performance. I thought it was probably the most technically precise performance that I've seen in the last 15 or so years. I heard a lot of people complain about the quality of music, but every song he sang was like a number one.
It was really good.
Yeah.
I thought it was good too.
Boring.
Yeah. I thought it was a...
Nobody died. Nobody took off their clothes.
Yeah, he's not going to join us today. I thought it was, quite honestly, a really good show. And I can understand people being underwhelmed, but I was underwhelmed by Bruno Mars. I was underwhelmed by
That was great.
Beyonce.
Yeah.
And, those would be, two people that I would immediately say would put on fantastic shows. I'm just kind of the opinion that you can't do a really great Super Bowl show. It's either going to appeal to
Cirque du Soleil could.
Well, potentially. But I don't know that Cirque du Soleil would be received well in that arena.
Because there's no noise. Brennan, what do you think? Who would you have?
To go off what Lewis said as well, I liked it. I thought it was the best show. I thought it was the best Super Bowl halftime show we'd had since tragically passed away Prince. Because I thought that was one of my favorite shows. Best ones, I think, going forward, in kind of a joking way, for some reason, I think Psy could be a really good Super Bowl. I think that could actually be really fun, especially if we manage to get all the dancers for it. In truth, how have we not seen a Paul McCartney Super Bowl show?
No, there was.
Oh, there was?
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
Yeah, he was.
It was
Wasn't
right
that
after.
the Olympics?
It was like
No, it was right
ago?
after the scandal. It was right after the scandal with Justin Timberlake. They decided to go safe and invited Paul McCartney, and there was all kinds of joke that he's going to show his nipple, and so people are laughing about that. So it was all right. He had a lot of hits. Obviously, he sang a lot of the Beatles hits. It was better than Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake has no music. That's the problem.
What about
his music sucks?
What about a Tool Super Bowl?
Huh?
What about a Tool Super Bowl?
Too dark. No, Super Bowl. See, the
I
thing
think
is,
it could work if it they had Prince
No.
who humped the air on live TV.
no, it's gonna bring everybody down. It's an introspective psychedelic music. That's the problem with Super Bowl halftime shows. You need to have kind of a exuberant, dance-rich kind of a show. Or the other option is really, really popular, famous hits that will get everybody in the crowd singing along. That's the two options you have.
Sure.
I personally like what Trump suggested the other day. Let's have a military parade.
Oh, God.
Well,
We will have.
here's something
He's
that
working on.
someone
Those
has
tanks are terrible on the field.
Here's something
thanks,
that
Eva.
someone has brought up that actually makes very good point for Super Bowl. The first ones, they did a proper marching band show. Why don't we do that again?
That's how it used to be.
Because
Maybe that's the way.
nobody wants to. I mean, if we go back 25 years, the bands would have been someone. The ultimate band would have been ABBA. Who would have been able to do something. But
Colleges do it, and it's very engaging.
Well, they need to get a little new with it. Instead of just marching out in formations on the field, they need to build 5, 6, 7 high people.
And topo and have people die
make
too.
Edifices.
I think they need to do the best marching band from that area, from a university, which would make it. I want the Super Bowl to be hosted every year in New Orleans because Grambling's marching band is just
Amazing.
oh my god, Grambling and Southern.
why did they never ask Elvis to do it? He would have been.
It was before his time, really. I mean,
Yeah.
when obviously Super Bowl started in '66, and by the time they actually started inviting big stars at halftime, he was already gone.
Yeah.
They just had marching bands, and it was not that big of a deal. Now, just trying. I feel bad on some level for Justin Timberlake, because what can you do? I mean, the one thing that probably he should have done is not choreograph it so much, because it was kind of fake. But it's always bound to be fake. He got lost in too many dancers, and the crowd was choreographed. There was supposedly fans, but they were all choreographed to do this together and this together and this together.
Evo is waving.
So and so it was really, he kind of got lost into this humanity of people. And his voice was never really good.
But
he
here's
has a
the thing:
high-pitched, weak
we've
voice.
talked on the show in the other place that who is the left? David Bowie died.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have been amazing. I don't think he did one. And the other thing is that when you get a superstar like that, what people want to hear is Starman. Or those type of songs, the famous songs.
Jeremy, you're going back 40 years.
I know, but what I'm trying
That's
to get
not
at
what
is
the Super Bowl is coming at. They're targeting a specific demographic.
Yeah.
They're targeting specific groups of people. They want Bruno Mars.
Yeah,
they
very
want.
Targeting. How
But Bruno
about
Mars
how
was-
about
they did Bruno-
sharpshooting.
They did Bruno Mars a few years ago, and he was terrible. He did one song that everybody knew, and that was it.
But they need to do stuff like that where the person
because
isn't
they hate
terrible
the
at it. They
music.
need to
I think so.
find
They're great
someone like a
performers.
Katy Perry or a Kesha who can command an audience like that. Because
Katy
that,
Perry's wasn't
that could
great.
actually be a really good one.
Katy Perry just did it. Remember Blue Shark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pink
my
will do
memory is
good.
being
Yeah,
off
Pink does. Pink has a kind of a circus show. If you've seen her concerts, she's kind of a Cirque du Soleil. If you've
Eva,
seen her-
Excellent.
specifically, then you and I both would like Uriah Heep to do it. I mean,
They're gonna
clearly.
ask for Neil
the
Diamond.
ultimate, the
They're gonna
ultimate
go
rock
Neil
band.
Diamond.
Yeah.
Long hair, get down. You know what I mean, Squire. Now, who would you like? What about Patches? Do you think he'd do it?
No, you know what's very interesting? It used to be that the Super Bowl was a huge vehicle for artists to get seen, to get elevated, to sell a lot of records. And I know they usually sell a lot of records the week after a Super Bowl. But really at this point it's become a negative, I feel like, for the artists to perform at the Super Bowl. They're always scrutinized. They can't win. They have to perform a medley of songs, which, I mean, a song is not designed like that. It has a beginning, it has a trajectory, development, and end. And they have to perform little snips of it, have to be very dynamic, have to run around, dance and jump. I mean, Bruce Springsteen did it, Rolling Stones did it. It didn't work. It didn't. There's some rock bands, legendary rock bands, that have done it. And it's not working at this point. If I was like a big star, I would refuse doing it. Justin Timberlake, Bruno Mars are pretty much the same person. With the Bruno Mars has better hits. Justin Bieber is gonna be Justin Timberlake in 5 years. They're all the same character. They can dance, they can move. It's wonderful. Dancers love them. It's fun to watch. He did an incredible job dancing. Just incredible dancing job, choreography, special effects. It is what it
I
is.
have to say,
what was he wearing? I'm not the one to talk because
It
I'm
was
wearing.
ugly what he was wearing.
I'm wearing children's T-shirts with, Rastafarian animals on them. I'm not the one to talk, but for the
Let me
love of
talk.
God,
That
what
was
the fuck was he
miserable.
wearing? He was wearing a camouflage suit, apparently designed by Stella McCartney,
yeah.
which she must have had a brain aneurysm in a Bass Pro Shop or something, and it was ridiculous. Then he had a shirt underneath or a vest or something that had some kind of print, mountain and deer printed on it. It was like he like, hey, Captain Cabela's, get out of there. And
I was thinking, why in the world he didn't bother to get into his Super Bowl clothes? I mean, really.
I am disappointed
Sorry,
in you because there is obviously one international rock band that hasn't been mentioned, and I don't understand why. But the ultimate band, clearly, for the Super Bowl. I mean, turn it up to 11. Spinal Tap.
Oh, Spinal Tap would be perfect.
That
That actually would be perfect.
yeah.
Spinal
Except
Tap.
the problem is they're in their 70s now, and
Are you suggesting for a moment the Spinal Tap are not up to it?
Oh, no,
You
of
bloody
course
You
not.
heathen.
can still turn the
The
volume
Rolling
up to
Stones
11.
were in their 70s.
Yeah.
Charlie Watts was dead.
Yeah.
But
I think when he performed
they
at the
can
Super
only
Bowl.
turn it up to 10, you see?
Yeah.
Spinal Tap, they can turn it up to 11, so they'd be able to knock out everyone's balls off.
Yeah, you're right. And now that I think about Rolling Stones, I think 2 of their members were dead as they performed at the Super Bowl. Charlie Watts and Keith Richards.
Hold
they
on.
did a
Sorry.
good job.
I got to interrupt. I got the answer. I know who should perform the next Super Bowl and every Super Bowl thereafter.
Okay.
Oh.
Sabbath.
Black Sabbath.
I'll
Yeah.
take
Yeah,
that too.
okay. They should always perform at the Super Bowl.
Yes, he could sit in his chair, couldn't he? But see, I've heard that AC/DC are going to carry on playing with you-know-who from Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose.
With
is gonna
Axl
front-
That was a disaster.
He's going to
I mean,
front AC/DC
He was already. I think it didn't work
for a
out.
short while, yeah, but he's going to go back and they're going to
Again?
tour.
I ended up listening to the album.
feel
to
bad
Justin
for the
Timberlake's
AC/DC.
new album.
I just sat down, but I feel like I'm being trolled right now because AC/DC is the most garbage band of all time.
They are. They have one song that they repeat over and over again, and also they are missing members. Malcolm Young passed away.
He died.
Yeah.
The drummer's in prison.
Yeah.
Neither of those are good excuses.
Brian Jones. They're singing. They're
They were still
performing
a
without
garbage
Brian
band.
Jones. They have Axl Rose sing for them now. It's kind of ridiculous. So I don't know if AC/DC even exists anymore.
I
But
have a
Black
question
Sabbath's
for
good.
you. Clearly, Elvis can't do it. But what
you never
about
know.
supporting a full federal holiday on the Monday after the game? Maybe called the sports holiday. Since America lives through its sports and 14 million workers decided they weren't going to turn up.
I'd say we just riot.
Yeah.
Don't-
That sounds fun.
Yeah, just don't give people a day off. I mean, if you don't show up for work, fuck you.
I think
But you have your full chance to riot.
I support
free riot.
I support federal holiday between the two Super Bowls, like 365
Yeah.
days from one Super Bowl to another federal holiday. Post Super Bowl, a year of holiday.
Interesting.
So, you will recognize his voice, but we're not able to say who he is, so we'll just call him Seth for tonight. Yeah. Who's joined us. You'll probably recognize his voice.
I'm on the green microphone.
You're
I know
on
you
the
can't see
green
it though.
Yes.
Green mic.
Some of
That's
us
how
might
you
say, go
recognize
back
him,
to the
yeah.
bar.
Whenever you hear the green microphone.
Yeah.
So here's one for you then. I just want to read a little bit because you might be interested in this. Apparently, Mars was destroyed by interplanetary nuclear war. Now, as Putin moves to deploy advanced nuclear-capable ballistic missiles to its Kaliningrad enclave in the Baltic Sea, are we actually concerned that what happened to Mars could happen here? After all, the Bible, font of all knowledge, mentions huge... Bible said it, not Trump. No, it did. Devastation in heaven. This was included in the Old Testament.
Just a point of clarification.
Yeah.
Trump did not say it. The Bible said it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Huge. Revelation says, and there was war in heaven, and then it said it again, but he was not strong enough. They lost their place in heaven and so on. Christians and conspiracy theorists now believe that there was a literal war in the skies which took place on Mars and wiped out a civilization on the red planet. I ask this because we don't seem like we intend to do anything about the current American government's behavior, which could easily lead to war here in various places on Earth. And my question, seriously, is... what preparations do you take about the above threat? And I know we've discussed this before, but that was when Obama was president. Do we think things
Thanks,
have changed
Obama.
with the new administration a year in?
That was the longest question I have
That
ever
was a
heard you
very
ask.
long
I wanted
question.
to give you some background because the Bible has said that Mars, the planet, was wiped out.
Where is that in the Bible?
I'm wondering the same thing.
Revelations.
Revelations?
Yes.
Book of Revelation.
Dr. Orlando, you're our biblical scholar.
Well, no, yeah, it's in the Bible. But the
See?
question is,
Did you notice how quickly he waves it away? It is actually
Everything is in the Bible.
yeah,
See, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it stands to reason, doesn't
the
it?
interesting question for me, the interesting part about your question is, do we have any preppers here? Is there anybody at the table that has a bomb shelter or a setup of like supplies, rations, and things like that in case there is a war?
You only do that if you want to live through it.
Wow, this conversation got really dark, like
Sorry.
really quickly.
I would not want to live through it. I would not do that.
You answered the question without answering the question.
True.
So
Here we go then.
believe this
Kathleen,
whole
would you like to explain what you mean by that?
about preppers?
No, if you only prep if you want to survive.
Yeah, like go ahead.
Why in the world would you want to survive a nuclear holocaust?
Yeah.
Because there's, for example, Robert Mercer. You know who Robert Mercer is? He's the
Yeah, he'd probably survive. That's a good reason not to.
he's the biggest sponsor for the Trump administration and for his campaign.
Trump would probably
And
live
he's,
through it. That's why he's so eager for it.
He's a hedge fund billionaire, and he believes that humanity can survive a nuclear holocaust. He thinks that science has overblown the danger of nuclear war. This is the guy that advises the president. He has his ear at all times. The most important person when it comes to investment and money for the president. So he believes that he will personally survive a nuclear holocaust. I'm pretty sure he's a prepper. I'm pretty sure he has made preparations for
What's
this.
going to happen is all these really rich guys are going to
Green
survive.
Mike has a question for you.
Yeah.
So you believe that you should prep every time, right? Is that correct? I'm just asking.
There's going to be a hell of
I
a lot
really
of
don't.
really rich guys who live through it, and they're going to need slaves.
Oh.
Anybody who
only
lives
rich
through it
guys
and-
should prep?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to.
They're the only ones who are
I'm trying to
prepping
understand the
adequately.
whole point.
Not
here.
actually, not entirely, because
There's not going to be enough slaves around for them to live their lifestyle, and they're going to get really snarky about it.
Okay,
So I got. Oh, go ahead, Fernando.
Sure. Oh,
Yeah,
I
go.
think you guys are going way optimistic on this because doesn't matter how much those crooks think they will survive. The science already show if they drop like those nuclear, weapons, the size that they are, you're gonna create such a cloud that the world gonna go to darkness, and that would be
Yes.
enough to collapse the planet.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if I survive, maybe I should try to survive, create a bunker for maybe chase those crooks and those multimillionaires that they think they're gonna win anything with that.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of, we're close to an end that they're like, yeah, it's pretty scary.
People who are level thinkers and who actually exercise their intellect,
Right.
they think like you. But people like Robert Mercer believe that nuclear winter is a scientific hoax,
I
and
gonna
this is
sick
not
him.
going to happen.
The nuclear winter is a scientific. No, it's not a hoax.
Yeah.
We could actually kill off all significant life in the world.
Civilization-ending
It's
event.
entirely
But
possible.
you do think it's a real thing?
Well,
What?
the Bible says it is.
Actually happen.
Bible says it
Talking
happened
to
to
Mike.
Mars.
Do you think it's a real thing that could actually
Bible
happen?
says it.
Yeah.
Bible says it. Revelations, yeah.
Yeah,
you go.
read the Revelation.
Revelations 12:7.
Oh, it's not a Bible
And
that
there
has to
was
do with it.
war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought. And then we go to 12:8-9.
Oh, okay. Revelations. Michael and his angels were fighting the dragon. I think that refers to Michael Jordan and the rest of the Chicago Bulls in the late 80s fighting against the fire-breathing Bill Laimbeer and the Detroit Pistons. That is what's in the
Damn,
Revelations.
that Bible is prophetic.
Prophetic. I knew it.
Gee.
I believe in that Bible.
You
So-
can twist things around.
So for
just like
me,
Bill Laimbeer twisted ankles.
so for me, like, if there was a nuclear war, nuclear winter, anything like that, I'd want to survive. I'd want to still be here,
Really?
just
Why?
because basically our systems break down doesn't mean I don't want to live anymore. Like I'm not just here
It might
for the.
reflect a difference in our ages. I have
It very well could.
grandkids,
Uh-huh.
and I am very worried about what they're going to grow up to. But I don't need to be here to be a drag on them.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want to have? Wouldn't you, because you have grandkids, if they're going to be here, do you have a concern about what they deal with when they're here?
Possibly, but dealing with stuff shouldn't be including having to take care of grandma.
That's definitely something to consider. But for me, my kids are 7 and 11, so
Yeah.
I need to be here with them. So for me, yeah, we actually keep supplies in the basement.
If you've got kids of a dependent age, that's different.
Right.
But I don't see any pluses in surviving a world after a worldwide nuclear war. Just don't see it. No.
Brennan,
Can I
You're
ask an
only
honest
equal.
question?
World War 17. What do
Yeah.
you reckon?
I've kind of distanced myself from this because I don't know the best way to respond to it. In my personal view of life, I don't want to consider not trying to survive it because I'm at the point where I enjoy living. So I, of course, would take preparations, but most of the kind of situations that we've had that have caused for preparations are ridiculous. So I don't know the exact correct way to respond to this.
I'm sorry, I just got a question about Brendan. What do you mean when you say situations are ridiculous? Are you talking about like the Hawaii thing?
Like the fact that the last two major preparation events were the terror of computers not being able to advance forward a year and relying on a calendar where it's purely the end is missing.
The End is Missing is a great title for a movie. It
So
could be,
let's
The End is Missing could be like it would star Chiwetel Ejiofor, and Chiwetel would be like a neurosurgeon, and he will be touring a nuclear shelter facility. It'll be like a museum. He's touring it, and meanwhile, a nuclear holocaust occurs on the surface. He's the lucky one who survives because he was in the museum. Everybody else died, but he survived. So he manages to come out, and of course he's a neurosurgeon. He starts wandering in terror. He sees that everybody that he knows is dead. Everything, the world has ended. But what he doesn't know is there's a beautiful stranger played by Charlize Theron.
Here we go.
Charlize Theron,
Getting better.
who has also survived by accident. She was in the New York City subway.
How'd you manage to stay beautiful all the way through this?
In the deep,
You just described
in
every
the
Will
very
Smith movie
bowels of the subway. Everybody, I mean, it's a nuclear call. Everybody dies. She somehow survives in the rubble, and she crawls out, and they end up meeting. Of course, it was a chance meeting as she was being attacked by wolves, by wild animals.
Her
But she
manicure
would
is
tell.
going to be totally messed up.
Steps
Wolves,
in,
at least say it,
saves her
pronounce it
and
properly.
fixes her wounds because he's a doctor. Then they forge a beautiful relationship. What was the title of the movie? The End is
Missing.
The End is missing. The End is missing.
So Woody, I mean Seth, what do you reckon?
What?
What do you reckon? Microphone. Microphone.
I'm 90% sure Will Smith starred in that movie already.
Yeah.
No, you're
right.
thinking
Yeah, it was
about
just him and the dog,
you're
wasn't
thinking about a zombie apocalypse. This is different. This is The End is missing. The End is missing. They fall in love, of course, and they start wandering, looking for food, but everything's radioactive. Everything's being poisoned. And also, what they don't know is in the rural America, there's a gang, murderers, scavengers,
MS-13.
searching for food and women. So Chiwetel has to become a hero and save
Is
her.
it MS-13?
It's MS-13.
MS-13.
You're absolutely correct. It's remnants of MS-13 who have not been deported yet.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. So what's happening here is the movie is being set
I like it.
with an open ending because
tell
there's
me
going to
about
be
it.
a sequel. That's why it's called The End is Missing. We're going to find out what happens in part 2 of The End is Missing.
Just out of
Day in the
interest,
morning.
just out of interest, by a show of hands, who here is a member of MS-13?
Just me.
Yeah,
don't
no,
know
that
what
makes
that
sense.
is.
That's
Four of us.
Man, brother.
We don't have MS. Do they have MS-13 in Bulgaria?
We
That's all I know.
Oh, yeah,
We
something
have-
like that.
13 part?
we
No,
have
don't know what the sign is. Sorry.
we have MS-13 in Bulgaria, but it's just 13 people who have multiple sclerosis. It has nothing to do with
Wow.
Depressing.
It has nothing to do with
That deserves a clap.
Now,
That
moving
does not
on,
deserve a clap.
moving on, girls and boys. I have another question for you, which was put to us by a listener from England, believe it or not. Oh. Yes, that's absolutely true.
And it wasn't you.
No, it wasn't me.
Okay.
And he asks, what innocent things have you searched for on your computer or have on your computer that could get you into trouble? What innocent things have you searched for on your computer or have on your computer that could get you into trouble? Example, a search for how to clean your rusty trumpet. Or photographs of your kids in the bath.
How about looking up models of just about anything? You can get some really unexpected results with models.
I don't really have anything that cannot get me in trouble on my computer.
But we want examples. Dr. Orlando.
Not on my computer, but on a professor's
Evo's computer.
Yes, on Evo's computer.
Yeah.
There is a professor when I was working at KU as like the technology guy for the liberal arts department. This about 10 years ago. Professor was trying to give a talk, and instead of typing whitehouse.gov, he typed whitehouse.com.
Oh, I know this.
It was an excellent porn site
Oh, really?
in front of his class.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard
was-
of the IT show?
What happened?
The IT show by Kim Commando. spelled K-O-M-A-N.
Yes.
Do not misspell that name.
No, you do not misspell that name.
Do not.
Oh,
you
yeah,
do not want to
Commando.
know what comes up on your computer.
Oh, I have many examples. For example, when we got married with Jamie, like the first year or so, she was trying to be nice and research as much as she can about Bulgaria, about my homeland, find out stuff so she can talk to me and tell me all these facts about the country. And she went on the internet, and instead of typing Bulgaria.com, she typed Bulgaria.com. and she came to me and said, "Oh my God, I didn't know there's so many gay men in Bulgaria." She had on your website, on the country's website, it has a map of the country, and you can click on each point of the country and find gay dates. Wow.
Mr. Fernando from Brazil, tell me, is there anything on your computer that is perfectly innocent, right? But that if someone was coming for you and wanted to cause trouble, that you would prefer wasn't there? So, we both probably have pictures of our kids. Anything else? Anything innocent that you may have looked up? I mean, I know you probably haven't looked up how to clean your brass trumpet, but I wonder if there's anything else. Or trombone.
Well,
Oh, look, he's moving from side to side.
I'm sure
Looking
it's clean
somewhat
and
shifty.
It can be audited by FBI and CIA. It'll be fine. I'm have a clear record.
I probably shouldn't have looked up how to blow up the White House, should I?
No, probably not.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Things don't go wrong.
Seth,
Okay.
Woody, whatever your name is.
I actually have a
Recognise the accent. Yeah, go on.
So, I gotta talk right into it, right?
Yeah, you know how to use a microphone. Stop.
All right.
Yeah.
So, a long time ago, I think Brennan knows this guy. I think you might know this guy. There's a German guy named Christian. who came here.
God. Oh, God.
One of the nicest gentlemen in the world, right? He would drink beer and pass out at the bar,
Yes.
but then
Yeah.
wake right up and be cool, right?
yeah.
So, I'll make this story short.
Okay.
So once upon a time, I told him, I was like, dude, we need to invent a way to make money. And he's like, cool. I go,
Well, who wouldn't?
I go, here's the deal, man. We're gonna fucking do like a paintball thing, right? People shooting paintballs, right? But it's chicks in white t-shirts. Right? And instead of paintballs,
idea,
it's just right. So I go, dude, what do we call this? And he goes, dude, we call it wet balls. And I was like, fucking Google that shit. If that shit is not already taken, we're gonna fucking we're
Take that.
the domain was taken. I would guess.
Actually,
Christian
Googled wet
looked at me
balls.
30 seconds later and goes, never Google wet balls again.
Okay, I'm
That
telling
domain
you,
is
The
taken.
domain was taken.
from the
domain was taken.
idea for making a lot of money right there, you guys deserved anything you got.
Evo, have you got anything that you shouldn't have on your computer?
Yeah, actually,
But no, hang on. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
I don't mean to ask that question. I'm saying, is there anything on your computer that is innocently there that you
Yes.
would prefer wasn't there?
Absolutely. I've done so much research. I've written so many articles on sports in Muslim countries, and problems like women's rights in Muslim countries, because this is a topic that has been bugging me for decades. It's driving me insane that women are oppressed in Muslim countries like they are. So I've gone to Muslim freaking websites that who knows, like sometimes accidentally, who knows what kind of horrible propaganda and scary propaganda is on this website. I'm probably on the radar for sure. Also one time, and this has nothing to do with computer, and this is the biggest, the most scary mistake I've ever made, and it was one of those tongue-twisting mistakes that probably has to do with language as I was getting into English. But years ago, my stepdaughter, she was about 15, had a bunch of friends from high school, watching a movie downstairs in the basement. So I'm talking about maybe 10 girls in the basement. And she's hosting them, and I'm trying to be nice and wanted to make them popcorn. and I yelled down towards the basement, "Hey girls, do you want me to make you some cock porn?" instead of popcorn, I said cock porn. And there was like the most uncomfortable. I had to process everything in my head what I had just said. It was the most uncomfortable 30 seconds, and then they just started laughing. And thank God they knew me, and so they didn't take it wrong, But it was scary.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was going to a way darker place.
No.
I thought you were going to tell us that you had Googled Muslim women athletes without hijabs. Which could get you.
Oh, yeah.
You never know.
Muslim women without hiccups. Okay, Dr. Orlando.
So you guys do know that like your search history will put you on watch lists, right?
Yes. Mhm.
So like me personally, I this was literally like a couple months before the Boston bombing massacre.
Oh no.
I had done an extensive search for pressure cookers. I have wanted pressure cookers for a long time. Now, I am not going to out anybody here at the table, but I happen to know that someone at this table has been visited by the FBI for phone calls that they've made. So I'm just going to toss it out there and see if anybody wants to volunteer.
I'll volunteer. I've not been.
You have not been involved with
Well, I was in the radio once. We were doing something, and we were talking about stuff with my ex-producer. Now who's passed off to Nebraska, so maybe he's passed on to Nebraska. I'm not sure what you do when you go to Nebraska.
Good deflection.
But anyway,
You give up on life.
We were talking about pets and things, and I said, well, I wonder if I have the biggest pussy in Lawrence. I looked up.
Oh yeah, I remember that story.
And he wasn't there. And it was funny. And then people were running down the corridor because in England we call a pussy or a pussycat is a pussycat. It has absolutely. My aged mother would come in, and if she saw your cat in your lap, she would go, "Oh my dear, what a nice pussy you've got." And of course, you're not allowed to say that sort of thing here in America.
I'm really not allowed to say that, Jeremy. I'm like taking legal courses right now. That's just not cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things, and of course, it's so difficult if you are an English lady who's having trouble with her cat. And perhaps the cat's been up all night, and she says, "Oh, I was up all night stroking my pussy, poor thing." The Americans think that that's something weird. But
I believe that Joanne Rivers did that bit like 50 years ago, man.
Yeah, right.
And it has not
So
died.
It has not died.
Yeah. No, it died. It died.
Here's the thing. I'm really interested in your advice here. It so happens that Brennan is one of the leading experts on motor racing in the country, and he often comes on our radio show and talks about motor racing.
Very true.
Here's the thing. We had a loss in the family recently, in the Taylor family. The Range Rover went to the great Range Rover.
Yes!
Kathleen's taking
Went
this
to the
so
great
hard.
Range Rover wherever it goes in the world, and I just got a new
describe
car.
what just happened. This lady had like 3 orgasms.
She did. It has
Pretty fantastic. No, none of us
normally
could
it's
ever
only
do
4.
that for
It has to. This new car I've got.
It's amazing to see.
This new car I've got has so many features I don't know where to start. I was showing it to Dr. Orlando just now. For example, it can literally park itself. This in itself is scary. For what if I'm doing 40 miles an hour and the car sees a parking spot? Who wins? Can I stop in the middle of the road and just walk into the restaurant and ask it to go park while my wife and I enter the restaurant?
That's called Uber.
These are real things. You can go and look at the car. It will do this stuff. Seriously, the complexity of the interface on these cars and gadgets is bordering on dangerous. Only last week I gave my new day-old smartwatch to my wife after I nearly had a wreck when my wrist took a telephone call. Do you think that cars are getting too gadgety? I can't even think of the right phrase. Features,
Technologically
interface.
enhanced.
Technologically enhanced.
Technological.
Smart cars. They're
Smart
turning to
cars. Yes, thank you, Eva.
Although that means something else.
Oh, smart cars.
Smart cars. Is that a rude thing we can't say?
There's a smart car. That's tiny.
there are
little
Oh, I
bit
see.
more,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. But what I'm getting at is things are getting so complicated.
Too much, right?
This thing has navigation, and it says to me every time I get in it, where do you want to go? Make sure you turn right when follow the rules. I don't want to be told. I don't want to be told where I am. I know where I am. Dr. Orlando, help.
What's your
Microphone.
question?
Technology.
Do you think it's too much?
Clearly don't think it's gone too far. By the look of your face.
Well, put it this way. I share every complaint that Jeremy just made about the technology. But I am technologically literate, so I can turn the stuff off that I don't want.
All right, I
Yes, you and
challenge
I
you.
both.
I challenge either of you, with a car that's able to park itself,
Yes.
to put it in the right spot outside a parking spot. Get out of the car and leave. And expect it to park itself without even worrying about whether it was successful or not.
I've done that with a Tesla.
Well,
Your own Tesla?
Not mine. I don't have
Exactly. Do it with
$60,000.
Your own car.
But I would have had to pay for it if it damaged something.
But hang on a minute. Hang on. My car is a Ford, right?
Yes.
And so if I pull up alongside a parking space or something like that, it'll park itself. You do that at a fucking Tesla, it's halfway around the bloody moon or the Mars before you say anything, isn't it? It fucking take off and you're gone. You've lost your Tesla. I mean, he's going to lose a lot of sales doing that if
Something like
people
that.
suddenly think their car's going to take off and go to space. Evo, what do you think? I mean, where you come from, they build cars out of cardboard, don't they? Well, they used to.
Yeah, they used to.
to.
Trabant.
the Trabant.
Yeah.
Do they? Do Trabants
glorious-
have navigation?
Glorious Trabant. I don't know, but I feel like Teslas
have a
are already
fuel
smarter
gauge.
than
I'm
me.
getting you back for the cricket last week.
There's vehicles that are already smarter than me. I'm getting confused. I don't know. I mean, at some point, the car will go actually in the house, and I'll stay in the garage. It's Rose are getting confused, and you're right. I mean, it's getting really. It used to be that a mechanic can fix your car, or the weekend mechanics.
The shade tree
I
mechanics,
myself
yeah.
can fix my car. Nowadays, you have to first apply for the MIT, and then maybe after 4 years, you might qualify to be a mechanic, because all you need to worry about is software and hardware and working on computers as you repair the car.
Hey, listen, there might be some use for these things, though. I mean, what's more useful than letting a car go to drive itself with you as a passenger on the road? Somebody build that self-driving technology into a lawnmower.
It's already there.
It's already existed. Honda makes them.
That you don't have to worry about. You just put it on your lawn, and the next time you look, your entire lawn's mowed without having to program the damn thing.
Honda sells them in Japan and
Just
in
like
Europe.
a Roomba.
Oh, and there is a fridge too.
Wow. And it doesn't run
Or
over
you can tie a
squirrels and
string
little
to
kids.
it and put a post in the middle of the garden and it'll just go.
In part 2 of The End is Missing, I think what happens is the leader of the murderous gang is about to kill Chiwetel Ejiofor and Charlize Theron, right? But in the very last second, he is injured by some kind of wild animal, and he needs surgery. So they decided to spare Chiwetel because he's a doctor. He's a surgeon. So he tries his best. He's a brilliant surgeon, and yet he fails. The guy dies, but at the moment of his death, there's a sudden burst of radiation, a remnant from the nuclear holocaust, and his
you have
body
that all the
gets
time.
transformed into a Tesla.
Okay, Jeremy, I got a question for you.
So now
Jeremy.
the Tesla is possessed. The Tesla is
back on
possessed, and
topic.
he's going after Chiwetel and Charlize Theron. So this becomes a Stephen Kingish kind of a thriller, suspense.
I'm beginning to think this isn't sort of based on reality.
Yeah.
Let's hope not. No,
I think
seriously,
what's going to
you
happen
just-
is that Tesla's going to come back as a transformer.
You just bought a car.
Oh.
Like, you could have had the choice of buying a car with essentially no options. You could have bought a car with, the manual, roll-down windows, AM, FM
You
radio.
can still buy those?
Yes, you can.
Oh, I
Find them.
want
Where?
one.
So you just
Chevy
gotta
and
search.
Nissan make
yeah.
them.
But here's the question: like, you were interested in the amenities of the car. That was part of the thing that you used as a metric for choosing your car. It's a part of the thing that we all choose. So my question is, like, when you choose those things, like you said, your car parks itself. Like, is that a good thing or is it bad? Was that a value added benefit, or?
No, I spent nearly a whole day switching off the parking itself, and I'm not allowed to change lanes mode.
No, he got it with these things in it because it's a used car and it will help the resale value in a few years. He has no intention of using them whatsoever.
I see. So it's
And because the car that I had to replace, literally you could buy a small house in this town with.
Right.
And I thought a number of things. One, regardless of whether I have the money or not, it was bordering on immoral. I mean, it's all right if you're a multi-gazillionaire. I mean, a literal gazillionaire to have a Bentley or something like that.
Is there such a thing as a literal gazillionaire?
I don't know.
I didn't think so either.
No.
Jeff Bezos is getting there.
No,
but
nobody has
There's such a
trillion.
thing as a gazillion.
I just couldn't bring myself to spend 6 figures on a car. An ordinary car. I mean, I wasn't
understand
buying
that.
a Rolls Royce,
Right.
which is 6 figures beginning with a 3
Yeah.
Or a 4.
or a 4.
But there's
it
like
just
a
doesn't
20
seem, just didn't seem
2013
right.
Scion XB that you could get for $12,000. That literally
for
is
5.
a box that's got like a gas pedal and a steering wheel, and that's
I think
basically it.
spending more than $30,000 or $40,000 on a car is immoral.
What about less than $20,000?
Well, whatever. Yeah.
That's fine.
The features that you're getting now in a Ford used to be an unspeakable luxury like 15 years
Yeah,
ago.
This is my point. Yeah.
I remember when a lot of this stuff came out, a lot of it debuted, a lot of like the auto change, like can't change lanes, auto park, all of it came out when Mercedes redid the S-Class in 07. And when that came out, I remember being absolutely amazed by it. And now this is on a $30,000 Ford SUV. It's on a $20,000 Honda Accord.
Yeah, it's crazy.
After the Pulse that's going to get rid of everything, right? You'll be lucky to trade those cars for a bicycle. Ha!
Oh yeah.
I just buy a Lotus because those have like nothing electronic on them.
Well, we
and they're
still
fun.
have our 1947 Chevy.
We do.
It won't work after the Pulse either, though.
No, oh yeah, it won't.
Like
yeah.
you will need a horse.
The Pulse has not heard of 6-volt battery systems.
You know this game that Adam Carolla plays on his podcast, Rich Man, Poor Man?
Yeah.
There's this fascinating concept, that some things can be valid for very rich man and for the very poor man at the same time. For
Such
example, too many cars in your yard. Too many cars in front of you. or you're paying for everything with a credit card. You know, and I discover those things constantly now that I pay attention to it, that, can be valid.
Well, condoms.
Huh?
But what's the next part of the story?
Condoms.
Has no ending.
No.
Yeah, Charlize
That's the reason.
Theron
It
wasn't.
doesn't matter whether
the
you're
end.
wealthy or poor. You still got to use condoms.
Yeah.
No. These are issues that are only valid for the very wealthy or very poor. Not everyone.
Oh.
Yeah, for very wealthy or very poor.
Well, they still break, don't they, when you blow them up? Or try and put them on your head.
For instance, knowing a judge on a first-name basis.
Yeah, that's right. That's a very good one.
Yeah.
I
so,
like that one very, very much. That is a very good one.
good.
Yeah, so...
Or a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean...
Now, the very poor don't get the
I know
lawyers.
judges. I sell houses to judges occasionally. I mean, what do you want?
Yeah.
Some old fart from Washington or something? No. Look, I just want to ask you one more question, then I'll let you go. The latest kitchen gadget inspires dreams until it starts to gather dust on the shelf. Quickly, without a lot of discussion, what kitchen gadget have you bought that sits on the shelf that you no longer use? Dr. Orlando.
I am trying to narrow this down, since you said we can't talk about it for a while, of one of the literal room of gadgets that I've bought. Probably the most salient thing for me is a cookie press that I bought 3 years
Yeah.
ago that has not ever been taken out of the box.
A cookie press. Evo. What kitchen gadget have you bought that you can't live without, and you
Oh, can't
haven't
live
you?
without.
Well, you
At first,
thought
when you first buy it.
when you thought that's such a good idea. I'm going to have one of those.
I have never bought a kitchen gadget except one time for an article that I was writing about the most ridiculous products of all time, and that gadget was a Hutzer 571. Hutzer 571 is a banana slicer, which is basically a plastic thing shaped like a banana with
With the slicers.
yeah, with a little what do you call it? The ribs on it. That
no.
you slice the
So it's
banana.
going to take you like an hour to find the thing in your back room when you could have
Yeah.
sliced the
Oh,
banana.
the barbaric past when we had to use a
Thought
butter
of
knife to
what you could
slice
do with
bananas.
one of those.
So
Yeah.
it was
Dr.
my full desire to call Evo a dirty, filthy liar because he and I have gone to like the homeowner shows and over
bought
at
stuff?
yeah.
Yeah.
But what he bought was the goddamn banana slicer that he's talking about.
I've got one.
That's awesome.
All right,
Pasta
Kathleen.
maker.
Oh yeah.
Pasta maker. People say, "Oh, that'd be great. I'd make pasta all the time."
No,
you
you don't.
wouldn't.
You know, Jamie bought a freaking quesadilla maker.
Quesadilla maker?
It's a
We use ours.
frying pan.
Well, hang
Yeah.
on. We bought a quesadilla maker because of Conroy's here.
yeah.
But it's one
it's a
that
big
presses
one.
and cooks.
And
Yeah.
so it produces quesadillas the same as they do at the restaurant here.
Yeah, ours produces quesadilla shaped dust for about 10
Sounds
years.
delicious. Yes. What about?
Brennan, what have you got in your kitchen that you thought was a good idea and is no longer used?
I got a lot of mileage out of it at the time, but the biggest thing is the George Foreman grill.
Oh yeah.
I've still got one hidden somewhere.
And
in
you're
our-
not using it?
I used to use it like crazy, and now I just use a frying pan
Yeah, there you go.
because it's better.
yeah.
How
I
about a
suppose-
little bitty food processor?
Woody's back.
You know,
Food processor?
a small
I
one.
use that too much.
Do you?
Yes.
Because I only use a food processor when there's too much to chop up by myself. So
No.
why the hell would anybody want a small one?
I use food processors.
I don't know
all-
why I've got one.
I use it all the time for especially stuff that's mixing, like something that needs to be chopped and then mixed into something. So something like a cream cheese mix.
Fernando,
Okay.
what have you got in your kitchen?
Oh man, you know, like it's one thing that really blows my mind since I moved to US, like the amount of gadgets in any subject, from sports to kitchen. My dream would be to buy one piece of everything. Like the banana slicer. But I mean, the funny moments was one of those, the quesadilla maker, I got that, and now I don't know where it's at. I think
That's
I
the
left it in
problem.
my old house. But I had fun with Andre. There is a need for that? There isn't.
Eric,
But-
the producer, have you bought anything for your kitchen recently?
Not recently.
I thought you were going to buy a crock pot.
I almost did. I didn't pull the trigger, but that is my plan. I plan to buy this mini crock pot. It's like quart and a half.
Right.
I almost did it for Super Bowl time.
Yeah.
But I am going to get it. It's there. I plan to get it next paycheck.
Well, Jeremy got a 3-unit small warmer.
Jeremy got
crock
3
pot.
units?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got 3
Whoa.
units. And we used it once.
Yeah.
I
see-
don't expect us to
I
use it
see it
again.
at Sam's Club. I
Yeah,
see it.
yeah.
And then can I nominate one that I've seen a whole lot, and I can even tell from the start this is gonna sit in the back of any kitchen. The Hamilton Beach breakfast sandwich maker. It is literally a thing that stacks together to make breakfast sandwiches in it. So you put like the buns, you put like a English muffin in it,
Yeah.
and it has a place to rest an egg, to rest cheese, to rest meat, and then you slide a couple of trays out, and it
Unbelievable.
makes a
How
breakfast.
about you, Mr. Taylor?
Who
Yeah.
sponsored us today, by
Wait
the
a
way?
minute. Did we
Oh,
get your kitchen device?
Yeah.
You're not getting out of this
the
without
quesadilla? Well, no, the quesadilla we make.
Yeah.
We use. What else do we? What, we have. I didn't think. I have a big meat slicer. I have.
You just
all
wanted to use
sorts
the
of
words big
mixers.
and meat in the same sentence. I know what's
we
going
have
on
mixers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know.
There's lots
Ice
of gadgets
cream
that sit in the
makers.
back.
Ice cream
Oh yeah,
makers.
that's that.
Ice
Yeah.
cream makers.
That was popular for a while. And it's a disaster. It just
It's
nothing
easier just to
happens.
make it yourself, and you can
Yeah.
make it with a couple of bags.
Yeah.
So sponsors.
Before
is
we
important.
before we do the sponsors, we have to do our 10 minutes of cricket today. What would you watch rather than 10 minutes of cricket? I would rather watch 8 hours of a rap music battle tournament in a Pennsylvania Amish community than watch 10 minutes of cricket. I would rather watch Janet Reno fold laundry for 7 hours than watch 10 minutes
Rather
of
watch
cricket.
the Red Hot Chili Pipers.
I would rather watch a 2018 remake of Dirty Dancing starring Madeleine Albright as Baby and Mitch McConnell as Patrick Swayze.
Oh man,
Then watch 10 minutes of cricket.
that's all.
I've got
That's
We will, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, be
Sponsor.
talking about ice cricket coming up
God.
with the Olympics in another place very shortly. I'll be explaining all that now to our sponsors who've been kind enough to keep us going for a week.
Let's see. Speaking of dancing, let's have announced today's sponsors to be the movie Flashdance, celebrating 37 years since its release, coming out on VHS tape next week and later on Laserdisc. The
eating more
Paramount
Laserdiscs.
Pictures masterpiece tells the very likely story of Jennifer Beals working as a welder in Pittsburgh's steel yards, and living and realizing that welding is not as glamorous as we all think it is. So she dreams of a shining career in dancing. The movie is Masterpiece by Adrian Lin. Obviously, they cannot sponsor us with any money, but they're providing leg warmers for Jeremy Taylor.
And let me tell you, it's a wonderful thing. I want to thank our sponsors, obviously, various films, and want to thank the panel tonight. We have our normal members of Dr. Orlando, Evo, and the lovely Kathleen.
None of us are normal.
We've had guesting Mr. Fernando, and of course Brennan, the car guy, Woody Harrelson. I mean Seth. For a short bit because I'm not allowed to use his proper name, and also, of course, Eric, the producer, is sitting there. Eric's back with us again. Okay, he was staring off. I think some young
I
lady.
would rather watch 7 hours and 45 minutes.
You've been listening to
naked Jeff Sessions dipped in chocolate, rubbing his nipples, then watch 10 minutes of
I gotta go throw up now.
You've been listening to Wednesday Night Undress, the podcast
online.
which is the Wobbly Bits, other podcasts.